So for me, it's really thinking, okay, what has actually triggered this flare up? What is it? Is it that I've been really stressed recently, and that's just meant that I'm not sleeping as much, which is then bringing on emotional dysregulation? Is it something more? Is it that something has been triggering me? Maybe a certain person has been triggering me. Has it been a certain experience that's triggered me? And now I'm emotionally dysregulated and I can't sleep. So kind of just figuring out really what it is that is impacting me and trying to manage it or get away from it, whichever is more viable in that situation. And then I find that I kind of remanage myself back to feeling okay again.
Yeah, awesome.
I'd say one key piece of advice, and it's probably common or like said a lot, but find something that you love and that you can express yourself or lose yourself in. I did that with painting and music and even skateboarding. I picked up skateboarding because I could finally connect on a similar level to my father when we're both going through like tough times. So I would definitely say something like find something that you truly love, that you enjoy and can lose yourself in, because then if you lose yourself in it, you can almost forget and like relieve yourself and have moments where you can just be free, I guess, or moments where you can express yourself and almost you could show other people what you're feeling through these different activities or like hobbies or something like that.
The first thing to do is to seek support. Okay, so you need to seek help. Right? If you're able to identify that you're experiencing anxiety or depression, or that you're not feeling like your normal self, basically, like you would typically feel, because sometimes people do struggle to identify if they are struggling with mental health. And so if you don't feel that you are your regular self, it would be really good for you to reach out to a mental health professional. It could be a counselor, it could be your GP. No matter the country where you are, there might be resources available there. Like just go and look online and try to seek support way before you feel worse, because that's another concerning thing, right? That people delay seeking support, and so don't wait. Just do it as soon as possible when you're not feeling well, because if you delay it will only get worse. It's not going to magically get better. So remember that we need to work on our mental health. So to protect our mental health, we need to actively engage in activities that are going to help us protect our mental health.
The key thing you can do is, if you are feeling uncertain or in that spot where you're a bit unsure, it's important to get that help that you need. As I said, it's so important to take that first step. That first step is the key thing. Admitting you need help, admitting you might need some assistance, that is the key thing to do to help yourself. And I think that finding a person you trust to talk to reach out to, going to your doctor, reaching out to a therapist, it's the most important thing you can do for your health, because you might not be able to cope with it by yourself. It's something that takes a lot of time to come around to. And I think as well, there's a lot of different strategies to how to deal with it. And I think one key thing that I always take from my therapy sessions is what we did was, with my negative thoughts, we gave that negative thought a name. And for example, my negative thoughts name is Rodney. Think of the most dorky and weird name you can think of. For some reason, mine was Rodney. I'm not sure why. And then you think to yourself, when you're having those negative thoughts or in that negative space, you think, it's just Rodney talking. He can leave. We can make him go. He's just a thought. It's just something, little things like that can just really, really help you, assist you through your day-to-day life. And I think as well, finding those things that actually make you happy, doing the things you enjoy, even if you can during a lockdown or post-lockdown, do the things that you enjoy, do what you love, and that's how you make yourself the happiest.
Let me talk about some research evidence around this. We just talked before. According to stress scholars in management or stress literature, academic evidence show that there are two types of stress. One is called challenging stress, and the other one is hindrance stress. So challenging stressor, it is still stress, but people will become better or get motivated to deal with that stress that's challenging. The other type of stressor are hindrance or hindering, which means that people become down or hindered from doing their work. So the bottom line is that the more you perceive your stress challenging, the better you will be likely get motivated or to cope with those stress. And then how we can cope with the stress. One is that you need to think about why or what kind of stress you have, and then why they are challenging or why they are hindering. If you feel like your stress is challenging, that means that you need more effort, energy to get motivated to tackle that issue. That's by regulating or coordinating or orchestrating your resources toward their work. If you find your stresses are hindering, that means that that's above beyond your self-control. So if those stress are hindering, then it's better to seek other people's support, your parents, family, or significant others, rather than dealing by yourself. So it can be more improved if you are facing hindering stress, then you need to seek support from your peers. If you feeling very challenging feeling from stresses or challenging job assignment or your task, then you need to think about set a goal. SMART goal will help. And then you need to get very specific strategy and plan to get on the top of your resources.
Something that I really value doing now is vocalizing it to somebody in person and not shutting myself down completely to everyone around me. It's very isolating when you're experiencing poor mental health, and it's very easy to back away from everyone, but sometimes saying it out loud helps you be nicer to yourself as well in that process. Yeah. And if you can't talk to somebody, write it down. I think that putting it into words, putting it into a physical form is super helpful, because it can help to dissuade that feeling of you thinking that you were imagining it, that you made it up, or that you're being overdramatic. If you can look back on a journal or a Word document in a couple of months and reflect on that period in your life, it can help you understand better the cycle that you might be in and the reality of what you're going through.
I think one aspect is I try and maintain physical activity. I always, every single day, I'm committed to going for a walk in the morning, and I get a coffee on my walk. It's something I do every single day around 7 a.m, listen to a podcast and just switch off. And it almost, for me, acts as a bit of a briefing session, I guess, one way to put it, to kind of, I guess, think of my goals for the day and what my focus will be. And then that really, I feel like, preps me up really well for the day usually. But I think sometimes it's good to recognize, I mean, for example, yesterday I felt like I did that in the morning and had a bit of a tough day and felt like I didn't have the motivation to do a lot of tasks. And I think being able to recognize that and not, I guess, kick yourself about and know, I guess, what's happening in the external environment is really big, is a really unprecedented thing, is really important. And I think sometimes personally I can be subject to a lot of negative self-talk and, you know, really see myself as, you know, oh, I'm not doing anything today. It's a really, you know, bad thing. I feel really, you know, terrible about myself. But I think being able to kind of switch that and think, well, a lot's happening in the external environment and it's okay to have a slow day and just focus on yourself, because I myself don't want to get run down and don't want to get too overwhelmed by things. So, I mean, that's an example is yesterday. I got up and did my walk, but the day just kind of got away from me. But that's okay. So yeah, and I, you know, had a really good day today. So it always comes swings about, but I think that's a tip or advice I'd like to give.
Just look at the things that you have achieved, because believe that you can do more than what you can be more than what you are. Yeah, because it might sound like a cliche, but yeah, but it is true. Everyone think less of themselves, and you shouldn't, because you have to think that you are better than what you are, because you are definitely better than what you are. Because everyone think less of themselves with this depression, so you gotta think the other way, that you're actually better than you are, and try not to dwell on things, and forgive yourself, forgive the mistakes you've made in the past. Learn how to drop off all the loads that you made in the past that's pulling you down the depression hole.